Okay, so this is a trip to Breckenridge, and this is on Peak 6. You can see where the green arrow is that's pointing down the trail that I'll be skiing down. And this is the Ken Shaw lift that takes you up to the top of Peak 6. Really beautiful, isn't it? Just a gorgeous view. This is actually a great place to get started with skiing bigger mountains. I mean, if you're not familiar with big mountain skiing, first of all, there's a lot more terrain than you would find in a smaller mountain. Generally, the runs are much wider. Overall, probably the skiers are better skiers, so you're less likely to get in an accident. However, if you're going to go up here, you should at least be comfortable with steeper blues. And blues in the West, like in Colorado, are very different from the blues and especially in mid-Atlantic. Maybe you go up to Vermont, you can find similarities. But if you look here to your left, you can see there's a little bit of a ledge here. And you can see people are cautiously moving towards the area where they can drop into this run. So this is Bliss, and it's actually called Bliss. So you can see people are kind of dropping in and they're congregating there watching. I think people get a little nervous when they're here, they want to watch other people go in first. It makes them feel more comfortable to see what other people do, and that's a smart thing to do. You can see the guy, a couple of people in front of me, they're going to kind of go horizontal until they find something they're comfortable with, which is actually a smart thing to do anytime you're on anything steeper. And this is kind of steep. It's actually steeper than some of the more black stuff down at Peak 8. And there you go. And here I am just like cruising. Look at the width of this. There's a lot of people down. I think a lot of people fall because they're nervous about the pitch and about the openness. And I think sometimes people just get scared because they think they should be scared in skiing. And it's tough. I understand. I mean, I've only been skiing for 9 years myself. So, I mean, seriously skiing for 9 years. Before that was just snow plowing or using a lot of pizza, no fries. But here you get a lot of open space, and on this day it was sunny. The snow was really great. If you look at it, it's very nice. Not a lot of bumps or anything. Not a lot of variation in terrain. In fact, it was early. It was around 9ish or so that morning, and this lift doesn't really open until around 9, so you can't even get up there. So it was one of the first ones. Some nice trees. This is what you think of when you think of West Coast. Well, not West Coast. It's Western skiing, big mountain Colorado skiing. Just you can go around the trees. I'm not a tree skier. I'm a little too old, and I guess I can go to wider trees like that. That's my version of blade skiing. But a lot of room here, so you can actually cruise. This is what I would consider a cruiser, a true cruiser. The only difference is maybe at the start you have to deal with a little bit of a ledge there, but other than that, this is just a really, really nice cruiser. It flattens out finally down here as we're heading towards the bottom of this lift. There's a little bit of a, you'll see coming up here, there's like little variations. There's a little offshoots you can take if you like. Like if you're a skier who wants to see a little more variation in terrain, you can go off into the trees to the left or to the right. Yeah, look at that that snow is so soft. Not a lot of powder on that day. It had snowed a couple days before this in a row, so there was a great amount of powder earlier in that week. I'm just like marveling at the sun. With the masking during the coronavirus, there was a lot less maybe sun exposure than normally would be, but generally the sun exposure is very high, and one has to be careful to not get sunburned, or you have to be careful for skin protection, especially from skin cancer. Because I mean, the sun is very intense when you get. We started like the top of that run was 12,000 plus feet, the top of Peak 6. This area right here, there's a little bit of a steep drop. So if you're just all chilled now, thinking, oh, it's really nice and flat, get back to the lift, there's a little bit of a steep drop. And that's whenever you see steep drops, you'll see skiers hanging out because they have to collect themselves before they go down, and that's okay. Just be aware that does get steep here. So if I was going back up to peak 6, I'd get into that line again. But I'm not. I'm going down to the bottom of peak 7. So I'm passing this little way station if you need to use the restroom or something. And things weren't as open during the pandemic as they were other years, so it wasn't quite as easy to get in and out, especially with Vail Resorts, who did a really, honestly, Vail Resorts did better than any other group, with the exception of, say, some of the more privately owned mountains. But Vail did a great job. They're very strict, which I know some people didn't like that because there are people who didn't want to wear masks, and I get it. You know, I understand that. That's just part of life. But they did a great job in ensuring the protection of the skiers, including having that reservation system, which wasn't bad at all. A lot of people thought, "Oh, that was horrible." It was not bad at all. It went very smoothly. I had no problem getting any of the days that I wanted to go at all. And you know, of course, I don't go. I try to avoid skiing on weekends because even when it's a non-pandemic year, it gets too busy. So why do I want to go when it's busy? If you can go during a weekday or maybe even a Friday, or sometimes late afternoons and stuff like that, or before work, whatever, you know, you can always have a better time. But I'm here. So this is now we're in Peak 7 territory. Peak 7 is just all intermediate skiing. So everything here is a blue, and they are wide, and you can just like have a blast. If you like cruising, this is where you're at. If you like a lot of speed, this isn't the best place. I mean, you can move over to Peak 8. I mean, even on Peak 6, where I was at the top there's a couple other you'll see in a different video that there's an adjacent blue where you can do you can rip a little faster, and then there's obviously you can hike up higher and get into some steeper stuff. So there are places in these peaks, but what's beautiful about these is it's a great place to work on technique. Like when you're skiing on something like this that's flat, you should be working on stuff. Now, if you're like just wanting to chill and relax, obviously that's awesome. And skiing is about having fun. It's about learning. But for me, it's about learning to become a better skier. So anytime you have an opportunity to improve upon your skill, you should. So like you can use these opportunities to work on your balance, for instance, making sure you're in the appropriate stance. A lot of pressure on between your shin and your front of your boot, the tongue of your boot. That's what you want. Make sure you have the right position, more athletic position, rather than just standing up and laid back. Making sure that you can turn well. So practice making turns, practice making long turns, short turns, medium turns. I mean, if you want, you can practice tricks. Something like this would be really good for doing whirly birds where you spin. It wasn't doing them that day. I was actually wearing a pair of skis that I don't normally use. There were twin tips, because I do like my twin tips. I use K2 poachers generally when I ski, but I had another pair of skis here. I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now, but they were really nice. They were a lot lighter than my poachers, and I enjoyed them a lot. But I was just chilling out. This kind of late season, beautiful weather. As you can see, lots and lots of open space here for cruising. And here I am coming to the bottom of Peak 6. You can hear my parrot in the background. He's like having a good time. He hides in these tunnels and makes echoes. Yeah, and again, a lot of these have a little bit of a steeper ending here. You can come on, let's go. There's some nice chairs over there to sit. I had Adirondack chairs. I think that's where I went and sat and just relaxed and took in the sun. I was thankful for being here. Look at that line. That's the only problem with Peak 7, but there will be a new lift next year, I hear, so this will be alleviated. Take care.